Hello, and welcome to Sounding Board, a production of Seroptimus International, whose mission is to improve the lives of women and girls through programs leading to social and economic empowerment. I'm Barbara Herwick, and today we'll be talking about an innovative approach and an innovative model for nonprofit organizations. My guest is Patricia Savitri Burbank, one of the co-founders of One World Children's Fund, a San Francisco-based nonprofit grassroots organization dedicated to improving the lives of children locally and internationally, children who are affected by poverty. Savitri holds a master's degree from Stanford and University of Santa Clara and has had a successful career as a marriage and family therapist. And now the last 15 years has devoted her life to One World Children's Fund. Welcome, Savitri.
Thank you, Barbara.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I'd like to start by showing our viewers a clip of Stephanie Heckman, the executive director of One World Children's Fund, just to give them an overview of One World.
One World Children's Fund is dedicated to improving the lives of children who are affected by poverty around the world. And when you make a donation to One World Children's Fund, you're really saying that you believe you can make a difference in the lives of children. We partner with champions in the United States and organisations around the world to make it a reality that all children have education, healthcare and a safe place to call home. The Champion programme has proven over the last more than a decade now that it's an effective way to support community grassroots organisations around the world. We have more than 50 champions that have raised over $3.5 million, and that $3.5 million has gone directly to community organisations that are effectively building solutions to poverty and improving the lives of children across the globe. So we're in Latin America, in Africa, Asia, the United States. Champions are individuals that have, either through travel or work, have found an organisation or school or a clinic, for example, that's really doing effective work that's helping children. And when they come back to the United States, they want to continue to give back to that organisation. The process to become a champion takes about anywhere between 3 to 6 months, because we're not only looking at the organisations we work with, we're looking at the champions and their viability as well. And then we also put the partner organisations through a vetting process. We're looking at things like, are their programmes effective? Are they efficient? Do they have a track record? And do they have a good relationship with the champion as well? Champions are involved in the reporting process, as they will often visit the community organisations that we're working with as well. What I love about One World Children's Fund is that there's a real connection. It really is a global community. It's not just you're writing a cheque, it goes off to the other side of the world and you never know what happens. It's an ongoing conversation between the champion, the community members and One World Children's Fund. Having come from the international NGO sector, I'm so delighted to be working with One World Children's Fund and the community here. The community that I've met has been so inspiring. A very diverse, smart group of individuals who are all committed to helping improve the lives of children affected by poverty. It's a wonderful environment.
So now that we've seen the clip, Savitri, let's talk about how you really got the idea to start One World with your husband, and I believe there's another partner as well.
That's right. We also partner with Shanti Cliff, and I'll tell you the story of how this all happened. In January of 1999, Michael, my husband, and I were in India. We were going to a meditation retreat in Bodh Gaya. We got on the all-night train from Calcutta. It was New Year's Eve. That was an experience already for us.
I bet.
We got off at 4 in the morning at the Gaya train station. And we had been told it was too dangerous to travel before sunrise between Gaya and Bodh Gaya So we had to just stay in the train station. And that was where we saw the children. And we saw these children who were living there, who were sleeping there, who had nothing. And we spent a couple of hours with them on the platform. And by the time we left that platform, we were changed. We had seen something that affected us deeply. And so we left, we went to the retreat in Bodh Gaya, and we continued to see children living in poverty, living on the streets with no one taking care of them. And we knew as individuals that trying to individually interact would only make the problem worse. So we went to the retreat. It was 10 days. It was pretty interesting. That was interesting in itself. And then on the 10th day, the leader of the retreat, who was also a social activist, brought in local grassroots organizations leaders, people who were doing the work on the ground there with children and with their parents, their mothers particularly, in the local villages. And they invited us to come spend time in the villages with them to see the work that they were doing.
Wow.
So we went. We were the first ones. We were so happy to see there was a possibility. We spent that time with these organizations, People First International, which we still partner with, which had 10 schools at that time in the villages for children, and Nari Jagran Manch, which means the liberated woman. And this was run by a woman named Sister Mary, who we partnered with actually for 15 years. She just passed away very sadly this year. And we told them we'd come home and do something, and they didn't believe us. But we were determined. I mean, I made a vow to them that we would come home and support them.
Now, did they bring these organizations in because you had previously mentioned that you wanted to help?
No, this is just something that the leader of the, Christopher Titmus is his name, who was the leader of this retreat, did at the end of every retreat.
Wow.
He did there. He did retreats there for actually like 35 years in Bodh Gaya.
And what was his reason for bringing these organizations to people's attention?
He knew that they were actually taking care of the children, that they were doing the work that was needed on the ground. And he also knew that there were a lot of people who weren't reputable, who were trying to take advantage of tourists. This is the place where the Buddha had his enlightenment. You may not be aware of that. But it's in January often the Dalai Lama comes there, and they'll have 100,000 people come to this village essentially. It's quite something. And so it's a big tourist center. And so he knew that there was a need to let people who were interested know the people who could be trusted. So it gave us an excellent beginning.
Great platform to start.
It was a great place to start.
Right. So how did you come up with the whole champion model?
Well, so we returned home, and we had a friend, Shanti Cliff, who's our third co-founder, who had started her own small nonprofit. So she had the 501c3 nonprofit status. We approached Shanti to ask if she might want to partner with us. And at the time, she was kind of burned out. She wanted to give it to us. But then she got excited about what we wanted to do. And essentially, we became the first champions of One World Children's Fund by joining with Shanti and establishing the organization. She had called it Jivan Mukti, which we didn't think would flow, and so we changed it to One World Children's Fund, which was Michael's idea, even though we were such a teeny organization at the time.
Wow.
And so what we did was we made it so we didn't have to start our own nonprofit. We joined with Shanti, and that's one of the services we offered for champions. There are many, many people who are connected as we became connected with grassroots organizations who are really doing great work on the ground. These people know what's needed. They're local in their community, but they don't have the resources a lot of times. And so what we do, we have resources, and we're able to partner, and we also do some help with building capacity for them, bringing some of our own skills and talents to the situation as it's desired. So now 15 years later, and I know there's a lot of questions, I've left a lot of empty spaces in what I'm telling you, but 15 years later, we now have 45 partner organizations. We have around 75 champions. We're in 22 countries. I feel a little emotional when I say that. We have raised $6 million, and we have 3 staff, and we have just the most solid organization. We're very excited. It's our 15-year celebration.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
But let's go back to the very beginning. How did you attract other people to One World, and how did you attract these champions?
Part of it was there was a need, and we started as a grassroots organization ourselves. I liked it when you introduced us. You introduced me, you said, One World is a grassroots organization, and we are. And we began to put the word out that we would provide these services. And we are really, it's the champions that are at the core of our organization. The champions bring us the projects. So our neighbor, who was lived 2 doors away, was from Argentina. And he had a project that he wanted to champion down to give back to his home country. And a lot of our champions are people who have come from India, different places in Africa, South America, who want to give back. So he said, I want to be a champion. He was our first champion.
Wow.
And we kind of set up the champion model around that. And so first the champion comes to us, they bring a project. We assess whether the champion can fulfill their role. Can they fundraise for the organization? Are they respectful? Can they keep good contact? Are they mature? Are they good representatives in the community? Do they have the kind of sense of being an international person that we're looking for? And then we see, is this project match our mission? Does it serve children and their caregivers? Is it grassroots? If it passes that first level, then we actually do the due diligence on that project. We don't do it first. We first want to be sure that we match each other well and that our values are in alignment. Once we find that, then we see, okay, are they doing what they say? Are they handling their finances well? Do they have a board of directors in their community that's functioning independently? So we look to see those basic things about the organization. Then we take them on as a One World project. And then they become partners. We really are partners together.
I see. So how is the champion model, though, different from other nonprofits? It's the first time I've ever heard of the champion model.
Yeah. Well, let's see. For one thing, we provide an infrastructure that allows the champions to fundraise for the projects that they support. And 100% of the money that they raise goes to their project. We don't take any percentage out for the services which we provide, which are many, for the champions and for the projects.
For example, what do you do for the champions?
We teach them fundraising. We have one-on-one support with we have an international program director who is Katie Boswell, who is a really talented and intelligent young woman who really understands international philanthropy. So they work one-on-one with Katie. We provide visibility and respect because people know about One World, so they become a project of One World. And I know you attended recently. We just had a fundraiser at our home.
Right.
And in that fundraiser, so we had 3 projects we supported that night, 3 partners of One World. One, which is Nevada Spirit. So we have local American projects. So one was a local here in Nevada. and that supports after-school programs for children. One was from the Congo, and that is a war-torn country, and it particularly supports job training, job skills training for young people. And another project was from India, in an area where the women have been traditional sex workers, and their children have been ostracized in the public schools. So this project creates a safe environment for these children who normally wouldn't be able to go to school, to be able to go to school. So that evening, we invite people from the community to learn about the projects. And then whatever they're able to raise at that point goes to those projects. And at the same time, in One World, we're also having to fundraise to keep our organization going, because we have three staff, as I said. We have an office in the Presidio in San Francisco, and we have certain expenses. So people support our organization through the Founders Circle, which is people make a commitment to give a minimum of $1,500 a year to support us. We did matching grants last year, and we raised money for those. In matching grants means that all the champions raise money and are matched.
And how does that work? How do you get the funds to match what the champions raise
So
themselves?
what we did at that point, actually, Michael and I started it by making a contribution to start the matching fund. Then we went out to our community and said, we have this opportunity to do a matching fund, and we're very excited about it. And so we had on Giving Tuesday, I think our matching fund was $20,000 for that day. And the champions actually, well, we had 2 days, that day and Human Rights Day. And 2 days in December, we were able to match, and they raised $80,000 in 2 days, the champions did.
Wow.
We could not believe it. We were so excited. All of us were.
Wow,
It was like we'd invented the wheel because we had never done anything. This was our most successful online experience. So we have a myriad of ways that we are supporting each other. We really are a community, and we're a grassroots community. So we bring that to our organization while we're supporting other projects all over.
Exciting.
Yeah.
I think now would be a good time actually to show a short clip of Melanie, the One World champion for the Tuna Weza Fund in Tanzania. And in this clip, Melanie discusses why she became a champion.
Great.
And why the One World champion model works. So let's take a look at, let's let our viewers see this now.
My co-champion, Kathy Hansen-Sweeney, and I began Tuna Weza Fund to support an organization in Tanzania that helps children with disabilities lead the lives that they want to live. And it's in an area that experienced the Rwandan genocide. I was asked to do these kinds of things about 10 years ago, and I felt so overwhelmed. Starting a new nonprofit, doing the tax regulations, doing the board, managing the receipts and the accounting, and it was just so much work. And I felt like I couldn't actually deliver given the time constraints and working full time. And so then when this opportunity came along with One World Children's Fund, it was like, aha, I could say, yes, this is easy. You know, they can do and take care of the back office things, and I can focus on fundraising and raising awareness and doing partnership building with my local project. There's a lot of management involved in running a nonprofit, a 501c3. You must have a board, you must have financial regulations in place and donor management as well. And it takes time. And that's one of the reasons why One World Children's Fund is such a great organization to support, is because not only do they gift that to all of these projects, but then they bring us in community with one another so we can share ideas and resources and share our concerns with each other and sort ourselves out within this One World community. It's a win-win situation for us.
Okay, so I know Many of our viewers out there probably, like myself, feel like when I give to an organization, I think to myself, I wonder how much exactly on the dollar of what my dollar is going to the administrative costs or to the exact fund or organization. So how do you explain, well, you must have certain costs to keep One World Children's Fund afloat. So how do you get those funds?
So we do. We have the basic funds of for our 3 staff, who are 3 amazing people. One of the things we seem to be really good at is hiring, which was quite surprising to us when we started. And so we have 3 great staff, and we raise money through events. We have an annual event every November, and we have about 400 people come to that event. And so we raise a good percentage of our money for the year, and that money that day goes to the administration, the overhead for One World Children's Fund.
And how much do you typically raise to?
Well, you know, I suppose it's good news that I can say I don't know exactly, because since I've been doing this for 15 years and Michael and I just left the board of directors this last year, we're not as involved in that day by day as far as, but I'd say, I think they raised around $50,000 this last year at the lunch.
Wow. That's
And then they had also a bazaar coming in where all the projects could sell goods from their projects and also raise money for their projects that day.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's quite impressive. So 15 years now, what do you see going forward for One World Children's Fund?
So it's an exciting time for us, partly because we have created such a solid foundation, and we have an excellent board of directors. We have a great advisory board. As I've said before, a wonderful staff. We now have 75 champions, about 45 projects. And so what we're hoping to do is really expand the number of children that we can be impacting through our work. So we're hoping that we can have some pretty amazing campaigns start for being able to expand our fundraising capacities. Because the more we can support more staff, for example, the more projects we can take on. And so we'd like to, well, this is my fantasy. I can't speak for the organization right now, but I'd love to see us double the number of projects we have in the next 3 to 5 years.
Wow.
Something like that.
Wow.
And because, like I say, the structure is in place, we've done the groundwork, we are really ready. We are like the other grassroots organizations I've been talking about. We just need more resources. And once we can get those in place, we are really ready to move and expand our impact.
That's exciting. Now, do you think the champion model works for just grassroots organizations, or can you see the champion model working for bigger nonprofit organizations?
Right now, it's a very hands-on approach. So it's hard for me to imagine how it would go in other organizations. I do know that I'm thinking of like IDEX, which is another local group that also works with nonprofits, has also found other really excellent ways of expanding out into the community to include more people. Because basically what the champion model is doing is making everybody a philanthropist that is involved with us. It's no longer just people who have a lot of money who are philanthropists, but it's really expanding that sense of global connection for all of us that are involved.
And what a great feeling for everyone to be able to get that.
It is great. It is wonderful. When I think, again, because I know you've been to our events, but that when we have these kinds of times together, it is so nurturing and enriching for all of us. And so it's very much, and I think it's an important thing to talk about, is how much we receive from being part of this. The champions are receiving, all of us are receiving a lot from being able to work together in this way, because we are our own community as well.
Right, right. Well, I know I feel really good about giving to One World Children's Fund because I know that when I give, 100% of what I give goes to that organization.
That's right.
And I can't say that about other organizations.
It's 100% goes to the projects that we support.
Right.
That's a really important aspect of it.
Right.
When you give to those projects.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I can see that we're just about out of time. Do you want to leave us with any last minute thoughts or wrap up any ideas or mention something you haven't mentioned?
Well, I think one thing that comes to mind is just recognizing that as an individual, by following our own dream, that we have been able to create a life of richness for ourselves by being involved with One World Children's Fund. And to know that that is also expanding out and creating richness, a more nourishing life for so many other people. So there's that sense of, how can I make a difference? And one of the things I hope that people involved with One World have is that feeling that I'm making a difference by whatever I'm doing. I'm not just going through motions.
Right.
I'm not just doing stuff that is meaningless, but that we have meaning by the way we serve each other, the way we partner with each other in a way that does make a difference in the world. And I know you're already part of that. I'm happy for that, and I hope all our viewers will feel welcome to join in the One World community too.
I do too, and I want to thank you so much for being here today, first of all. And I want to tell our viewers, if you're interested in One World Children's Fund and want to learn more, you can go to www.oneworldchildrensfund.org. And again, I'd like to thank you for being here. And I'd like to thank the Seroptimist International of Novato for the work that they do to produce these shows, and the Buck Institute for Research on Aging for allowing us to use this beautiful television studio. And special thanks to our studio engineer, Leon Johnson, and to you, our viewers. Thank you for watching.